How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Patriot DIY channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to build your own garage storage cabinets. Alright guys, now as you can see behind me, I just finished up the build of my garage cabinets. This was a huge project and I'm really glad to have it done, and I'm ready now to get my garage nice and organized. You can see here I have a combination of tall, full-length cabinets along with some lower base cabinets. I've built these in a couple different sizes. This one you see here is 60 inches wide, 96 inches tall, and it's really split up into four main sections. We have double doors here on the left, another set of double doors here on the right. These sections are just over 6 foot tall, and then up top I have a smaller set of double doors. Now I built two cabinets identical to that. You'll see that here and here. Then down at the end I have a nice thin 24-inch cabinet, as well as my base cabinets and countertops here below the windows. Now this was a huge project, guys. These cabinets are massive. I had to build 22 doors for this project along with shelves to go on the inside, but I think the final result ended up pretty amazing. Now I do have full digital build plans of 4 different sizes of garage cabinets like the ones you see here, so you can pick the sizes that work for you and mix and match to build out your bank of cabinets in your garage. So if you're interested in getting those plans, I will have those linked in the description below for you guys. But I'm also going to be showing you step by step exactly how to build this for yourself. But before we do that, guys, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that notification bell, and give us a thumbs up. Now let's jump back and I'll show you how to build this massive bank of garage cabinets. First thing I'm going to do is break down all my plywood over at the track saw. Then I'll rip each component to its final dimension on the table saw. For these cabinets we need 2 sides, top and bottom, middle divider, and a couple fixed shelves. Alright guys, now I do have one issue here in my garage, and this is something you may see in your garage as well, but I have this low concrete wall that juts out about 2.5 inches from the rest of the wall. If possible, I'd like my cabinets to be flush against the wall. So the way I'm going to tackle this is I'm just going to notch out the sides of my cabinets, and so that I have a uniform flat back on the inside, I'm basically going to be making a false back and moving the back panel of that cabinet in a little bit. So the back panel of the actual cabinet will be here, but the sides are going to extend all the way to this wall so it gets a nice flush look. Now if this isn't an issue in your garage, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can just build a perfectly flat back on your cabinets and just brad nail that back panel in. So let's get back to the cabinets. I'm going to set my blade height to 3/8 of an inch and then run each of my side panels through, cutting a groove for that back panel to fit in. Then I'll move my fence over slightly and run it through the table saw again to widen that groove until I get a perfect fit with my 1/4 inch plywood. Once you've done this, you want to use some scrap of your 1/4 inch plywood to double check the fit. Now I'm going to use my jigsaw to cut out that notch that's going to fit around that lower concrete wall. Now remember, if you don't have that obstacle, you don't need to do any of this. Your back panel is just going to be brad nailed to the back of your cabinet. Now I'm going to use the Craig 720 Pro to drill pocket holes into my top panel, bottom panel, and fixed shelves. I'm going to be applying some edge banding to the exposed face of each of these components. This is going to cover up that end grain of the plywood and give it a much cleaner look. I'm using iron-on edge banding for this, and I do have a full video on how to apply edge banding. If you want to check that out, I have a link right here at the top of the screen. Once that edge banding has cooled, I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess and blend those sharp edges using a sanding block. Now, this project requires a ton of edge banding for all the cabinet components and doors, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of my components. Now I'm almost ready for assembly, but before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and pre-sand each piece with some 120 grit sandpaper. And now I'm ready for assembly. So I'm going to lay out my components here on the floor. I'm going to start by attaching my bottom and sides. To do this, I'm going to apply some wood glue and then clamp everything together before fastening it with 1¼ inch pocket hole screws. Now once I have my first side on, I'll move over and attach the other. Now this cabinet is going to have a middle divider, so I'm going to measure and mark out the location of that. And then I'm using one of my fixed shelves as a spacer to make sure I get the perfect placement. Then I'll use a corner clamp to make sure it's good and square. Then I'll countersink and fasten it through the bottom with wood screws. Once I've done that, I'm going to move on to my fixed shelves. Having at least one fixed shelf is important for a cabinet of this size because it adds a lot of strength to the structure. So I'm going to put these fixed shelves in place and then fasten them to the cabinet with pocket hole screws. At this point, I'm ready to cut my back panels from 1/4 inch plywood. This is a very large cabinet, so it did require 2. So I'll go ahead and slide that in place before attaching the top of the cabinet. I'm just going to drop that into place, clamp everything together, and again, I'm attaching this with pocket hole screws. I'm also going to fasten this top to that middle divider as well, the same way we did on the bottom. And once everything's in place, I'm going to go back and brad nail in that back panel. Then I add some nailer strips to the back of the cabinet. That's going to give us a good place to attach it to the wall later. Now with my main cabinet carcass complete, I'm going to tip it up on its side and drill holes for my shelf pins. For this, I'm going to be using the Craig shelf pin jig. Now this is optional, but I am also going to go back and plug those pocket holes in the fixed shelves. That's just going to give our end cabinet a much more professional, clean look. And that is it for the main construction of our tall garage cabinets. Now I do have a couple different sizes of this along with some base cabinets that I need to build as well. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure I have all of my doors and additional shelves cut out and edge banded and ready for paint. I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill for the hardware on all of my doors. I am using concealed hinges, so I'm going to use the Craig hinge jig to make the release for those hinges on all of my doors. I'm also going to go ahead and pre-drill for all of the door pulls. And to make that process a little bit easier, I have the Craig Cabinet Hardware Jig Pro. And I will have a link to this tool as well as all the other jigs and tools we're using for this project linked in the description below. Now with everything built, I'm ready to start painting. I'm going to start by applying one coat of Sherwin-Williams Extreme Bond Primer to all of my components. And once that's had time to dry completely, I'm going to go back and sand everything smooth with some 220 grit sandpaper. This is a very important step in the process to make sure you have a nice, smooth, professional finish on your cabinets. Now I have a lot of cabinets here and they're going to require a lot of paint. And I want to make sure there's no variation in color between each of these gallon paint cans. So before I start painting, I'm going to go ahead and mix all of these together before pouring them back into the cans, making sure I'm going to have a uniform color throughout. The paint I'm using for this is the Sherwin-Williams cabinet and furniture paint. This is a urethane enamel, so it's going to be a very hard finish. And I'm going to be spraying these cabinets with the cordless Graco TC Pro paint sprayer. This is one of the best sprayers on the market for these types of projects. And as you'll see later, the combination of good quality paint and a good quality sprayer is going to result in a really nice finish on these cabinets. Now that all of our cabinets are built and painted, we are almost ready for install. But you may have noticed there's no toe kick built into the bottom of our cabinets. That's because I'm going to be building the toe kick separately. I'm going to be cutting some 4-inch wide strips of plywood. I'm going to use that to build my toe kicks. And this is going to be assembled using wood glue and brad nails. Building your toe kicks separately like this is going to make the install of your cabinets a lot easier because you can level the toe kick first before putting your cabinets in place rather than trying to level each of these giant cabinets individually. So once I have these toe kicks in place in my garage, I'm going to go ahead and start making sure these are level. Now as I level each section, I'll put the next one in place and fasten them together. And you'll notice I added some extra support on these toe kicks where two cabinets will be butted up next to each other. Once I'm satisfied that the toe kick is good and level, I'm going to fasten it to the wall using Tapcon screws. Alright, so here's your biggest issue with garage cabinets. Garage floors are designed to slope so that water can drain out. Well, if we look here at the top corner, we are flush right there, perfect. And as we make our way down, we have about 3 inches. So we're gonna have to cut us a board to fill that massive gap so that it looks right. So to cut those tapered pieces that are gonna cover the gaps at the bottom, I'm just gonna hold my board up to the toe kick and scribe a line that I can use to cut later with my track saw. Now with tall cabinets like this, you're definitely going to want to secure them to the wall if possible, just for safety reasons so that it can't tip forward. And the way you're going to do that is just mark your stud locations and screw through those nailer strips into those studs. Now in my garage, because I had to notch out to get around this low wall, I'm going to need a spacer here. And that'll give the perfect spacing so I can screw through those nailer strips into my spacer. So I'm just going to start bringing each of these cabinets in one by one and putting them into place. Now once I have all my cabinets right where I want them and aligned, I'm going to fasten them together from the inside using cabinet screws. I'm also going to secure each one to the wall through those nailer strips that we added earlier. I'm going to go ahead and get all of my hinges mounted to all the doors. Now these are very large doors, so I'm going to be using the Craig cabinet door jig. That's just going to help me hold these doors in place while I get them installed. Then I'll fasten the hinges to the cabinets. Now these are adjustable hinges, so once I get these doors mounted, I will be able to adjust them front, right, up, and down to make sure I get all of my gaps just right. And I'm going to repeat that process for all of my doors. You'll see I have narrow double doors on each of these cabinets. I think that's a great idea for a garage space because it doesn't require as much clearance or open space to open that door as one large door would. Now I'm going to go back and put my trim on the toe kick, and you'll see that I've tapered this so it fits this space perfectly. I'm also going to go ahead and install all of my shelves. And start installing all of my door pulls on each of the doors through the holes that we pre-drilled earlier. Also always like to add some magnet closures for cabinets like this, especially with these long doors. Last thing to do is install my countertops. Now I did build these myself and I have a full video coming out showing you how to do that, so make sure you stay tuned for that. So once those countertops are put in place, I'm just going to fasten them to the cabinet from underneath using cabinet screws. And that is it, guys. Our garage cabinets are complete, and I just could not be happier with the end result. Just look at all that storage space that we have now. This is definitely going to help me keep my garage organized, and I think it looks great. All right, guys, that is it for how to build your own garage storage cabinets. I hope this video helped you out. Like I mentioned before, this was a huge project. These are massive cabinets covering a long span here in my garage, but I am very happy with the end result. Not only do they look great here in my garage, but it's also gonna maximize my storage and allow me to get this garage organized. Now, if you're interested in building something like this for yourself, don't forget I will have build plans linked in the description below. I'm gonna have plans for 4 different sizes of garage cabinets along with the base cabinets, so you can mix and match and build the perfect set of cabinets to fit your garage space. Now, you can purchase the plans for just an individual cabinet if you just want to build one, or you can save a little money by buying the bundle that's going to include all the sizes of garage cabinets that you see here along with a couple others. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Have you built storage cabinets in your garage, or are you getting ready to start the project? I'd love to hear about it. And make sure you let me know if you have any questions. As always, I'm going to have links to all of the tools that we use for this project, along with those build plans linked in the description below. Now, if you're looking to build some cabinets in your garage and finally get that thing organized, I hope this video helped you out, guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.